Yo, what is up, guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, of course, this weekend we had a big card in Saudi Arabia, headlined by Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol, and that fight, in and of itself, is garnering a lot of reaction, a lot of debate in regards to the scorecards. I have watched it back. I scored it 7-5 on second watch to Artur Beterbiev. Really don't understand the robbery perspective, but maybe I'll make a further video on that. But this video more so is talking about Benjamin Whittaker and, following his fight against Liam Cameron, where he supposedly got injured, I think in round 5, against a guy in Liam Cameron who once upon a time was a good amateur here in the UK, okay domestic level fighter in his prime. Then he suffered a drugs ban. He was out the ring for 4 years. I believe it was 4 years, near enough 4 years, for testing positive for cocaine, not a PED, cocaine. So, he's come back relatively recently within the last year and, trying to, I guess, rebuild his career. But ultimately, considering the circumstances, B-side, out of the ring for a year, probably not training full-time as a pro boxer. He's probably got part-time work as well. Ultimately, you look at Liam Cameron as an opponent, and you look at the hype that Ben Whittaker has received. It's the type of opponent that he should be winning comfortably over. Because ultimately, I believe a true A-level prospect or a true, blue-chip prospect should be beating a guy like Liam Cameron comfortably. Even outside prospects, let's say you put Anthony Yarde in there with Liam Cameron, I'm pretty certain Yarde will go through Liam Cameron like a doorway. Now, me personally, when Ben Whittaker turned pro, I felt he was a fighter who was worth watching, worth keeping an eye out on, because of his athletic ability, his speed. But, he was one in which I wasn't really sure on, and the more I've seen this guy fight, the more I'm not convinced. Even aside from the Liam Cameron fight, the fight before against the dude called Ezra, who looked like a pumped-up club fighter, to be honest, a club fighter who was in decent shape. No real boxing skills to think of it, and even that fight, I felt Ben Whittaker made a bit of a meal of it, to be honest. All Ezra was doing was walking forwards, barely throwing punches, and Ben Whittaker to me looked uncomfortable. Could never really get the respect of Ezra, a guy who is probably area level in the UK. And the Liam Cameron fight, I expected Ben Whittaker to win this fight comfortably. But regardless, I still felt the flaws were there. I just didn't expect it to be exposed so much against Liam Cameron. And that to me is a worry. Because anybody with world level ambition should be beating Liam Cameron comfortably. Even before the injury, which we'll discuss, but even before then, Liam Cameron was able to get close. He was able to land hooks to the body, hooks around the side of Ben Whittaker's head. And as the fight played out, he was getting closer and closer and he was landing more shots. When it was on the outside, Ben Whittaker was doing his thing. But the fight was starting to turn before the injury. That's what it looked like anyway. Liam Cameron just having a lot more success, landing shots both body and head. And, you felt that even before the injury, Ben Whittaker was starting to get uncomfortable with the pace. He was being made to work a bit hard. He actually had a problem in front of him, not just a guy like Ezra who, he came forward but did not throw punches. Liam Cameron was throwing punches and he was making Ben Whittaker think. And and in my opinion, that kind of shows that Ben Whittaker is all instinct. He's all athletic ability. I don't think there's much of a boxing brain there. Sounds crazy to say considering he won a silver in the Olympics. But, it's a 3-round format. He had the height, he had the reach, he had that point scoring type of ability in the amateurs. In a pro ring, I don't see this guy having what it takes. I don't think he's a big puncher. I think we've seen that. I don't think his chin is all that great. I just have that feeling about him. And we have to question his heart after this latest fight because, they came in for a clinch. Ben Whittaker backed up to the ropes, and it seemed like he leaned back to try and... I don't know what he was doing, but it seemed like he leaned back, and it caused both Liam Cameron and Ben Whittaker to go over the ropes. Liam Cameron gets up, Ben Whittaker doesn't. He's citing an ankle injury. Having watched the replay a couple of times, I'll be honest, I'm not really sure where he picked up the ankle injury. I guess it could have happened, vision was slightly obscured, I guess. But yeah, it seemed rather convenient that the fight was starting to turn a little bit. And it wasn't like Liam Cameron was landing shots, but it wasn't like it should discourage a fighter. He wasn't having that type of success. But, as I said, Ben Whittaker still looked uncomfortable. And the fact he supposedly got this injury when he did seems a little convenient. Was he looking for a way out? I mean, I think it's very possible. The matchmaking he's had so far in his pro career has been pretty poor. He hasn't been tested. And this was the first time he fought a live body, basically. And it was first time he fought a live body, and he looked poor. So, it's a bad look for Ben Whittaker. I think, from his perspective, what he should do, if he is actually injured, he should actually show some proof, in my opinion, just to try and clear up his reputation a little bit. Because, listen, who knows, maybe he actually did get an injury, but it still doesn't erase the level of performance that he put in and the flaws that he is now showing. I also think there's a lack of creativity from Ben Whittaker when it comes to offense. Again, he's very reactionary. He can walk you into a right hand. He can walk you into the uppercuts. He can walk you into good singles and things like that. But when he's forced to work for his openings, or when somebody's making him work, it doesn't look like he's got much idea. I see in Ben Whittaker an athlete who happens to fight. I don't think he's a natural fighter. I don't think he's a natural boxer. I don't think he's a technician. He just purely relies on speed, athleticism, and that's really it. And from what I've seen so far, he's going nowhere fast. A lot to work on, in my opinion. And I don't really see him getting beyond domestic level as of right now. I've heard this comparison, but he's very reminiscent of Josh Kelly in that sense. Maybe Josh Kelly's a bit better. Josh Kelly has done okay at domestic level, to be fair. But yeah, he kind of has that vibe about him. It looks flashy at times, quick, good athlete, but is he a good boxer? I've not seen it. Is he a good fighter? I've not seen it. So, yeah, I felt he kind of got exposed this weekend, and there's a lot to work on. But anyway, share your thoughts. What are your thoughts on Ben Whittaker? Am I being too harsh? Maybe I am. But ultimately, it's up to him to come back and prove himself, right? That's all there is to it. If he comes back and improves, then it is what it is. We'll see. Share your thoughts below. Been your guy, Del Boy. Peace.